She's clearly an unbelievable player, came in with an unbelievable following.
The WNBA is in chaos, and the commissioner is scrambling to hold it together. One of the league's biggest stars has just walked away, raising questions the league doesn't want to answer.
Obviously, people were pretty disappointed in the outcome. I think getting out of the spotlight and just getting to live my life and do things that I want to do.
Was it the pay gap, the brutal schedule, or something far more explosive? Word is, even more stars could be walking away next. I've got the details. Let's break it down. The exit that shook the league. The WNBA just lost one of its biggest stars, and the shockwaves are tearing through the league. The headlines will try to spin it as time off, personal decisions, or preparing for the future. But the reality? She stopped playing, walked away, and now the commissioner is in full-blown damage control.
We are not asking you to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue, shared.
That's Kelsey Plum, one of the WNBA's most recognizable names, spelling out the problem that's been boiling under the surface for years. The league's top players are not leaving because they can't play. They're leaving because the system is broken. Plum's revelation wasn't about chasing NBA-level millions. It was about something far more devastating for the league's image. The fact that players see their jerseys sold in packed arenas and don't get a single dollar from it. No revenue share, no merchandise check, nothing. Compare that to the NBA, where players earn a cut of massive TV contracts and merch sales, and it's clear why WNBA stars feel like they're being squeezed dry. And here's where the panic sets in for Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, because when a player like Plum, or Caitlin Clark, the rookie who single-handedly spiked attendance and TV ratings, decides to step away, it's not just a roster gap, it's a revenue collapse. Engelbert has admitted the league is finally in a better place financially to fund salaries and benefits, but the top salary is still just $250,000 a year. That's less than some Division I athletes are making in NIL deals before they even turn pro.
It came up in the panel a lot that the highest WNBA women's salary is just $250,000 a year.
When your biggest stars can make more money and avoid a grueling year-round schedule, by not playing, you have a crisis. And that's exactly what's happening. The WNBA's so-called golden era is being ripped apart by its own economics. Engelbert, of course, is doing everything possible to project stability. She points to record-breaking attendance numbers, new expansion, teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, and corporate partners stepping up to invest in the women's game. She's even quick to remind everyone that most arenas are sold out. But behind the curtain, the fear is real. Because those ticket sales mean nothing if the players fans came to see are no longer on the court. And here's the brutal truth. The league has known this was coming. They've known for years that the lack of revenue sharing, the off-season overseas grind, and the crushing disparity between NBA and WNBA compensation would eventually push players to the breaking point. They just didn't expect it to happen this soon, or this publicly. The Caitlin Clark effect proved the WNBA could pull in millions of new viewers. Engelbert herself admitted that Clark, Angel Reese, and the rest of the 2024 rookie class brought a surge the league hadn't seen in decades. But it also created an uncomfortable question. If the WNBA can sell out arenas and pull TV audiences on par with NBA games, why are its stars still being paid like afterthoughts?
The Caitlin Clark phenomenon. How do you describe it?
She's clearly an unbelievable player, came in with an unbelievable following, has brought a lot of new fans to the league.
And now, with a top player gone, Engelbert is left selling a dream of growth while trying to plug the holes in a sinking ship. But the problem isn't just money, it's how the league handles its stars. Caitlin Clark's own words after the Fever's playoff loss reveal a player who gave everything, only to feel like it wasn't enough.
We could have done a little bit more to help it get back here for a game 3, and that's what really kind of stunk about the whole thing.
That's not just a post-game reflection, it's a warning. When your top players leave the season feeling like they're carrying the weight alone, burnout isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Engelbert loves to talk about sustain and gain, sustaining last year's momentum and gaining new fans. But sustainability doesn't mean packing in rookies and hoping the hype lasts. It means building a system where players don't have to choose between playing in the WNBA and protecting their own mental, physical, and financial health. Right now, that system doesn't exist. The reality is harsh. While NBA stars use the off-season to rest, recover, and cash in on endorsements, WNBA players often spend their time off playing overseas just to make ends meet. Many earn more in Russia, Turkey, or China in a single winter than they do in the entire WNBA season. And when they don't play overseas, they risk losing the financial cushion that makes playing in the W possible at all. This is the part the league doesn't want to talk about, the part that makes headlines like top player stops playing so dangerous for their brand. Because if one player walks away and sees her life improve, it plants a dangerous thought in the minds of everyone else. What if I just didn't come back? And that's the domino effect Engelbert is desperately trying to avoid. A star leaving isn't just about losing one name from a roster. It's about losing ticket sales, TV ratings, sponsorship leverage, and the emotional investment of fans who follow players, not teams. The WNBA's own data shows how fragile that fan-player connection is. Expansion teams in hot markets like the Bay Area sold out thousands of season tickets within weeks because of who they thought they'd get to see on the court. Remove those players, and the magic fades fast. To make matters worse, the collective bargaining agreement is set to expire soon, and players are openly talking about demanding radical changes. Engelbert claims she's confident a transformational deal will be made, but when the most visible proof of the league's problems is a top player quitting, confidence isn't enough.
We're now thriving, so absolutely, I agree with the players. We're in listening sessions.
The players know their worth. The fans are starting to see it too. And the more that disconnect between hype and pay grows, the harder it will be for Engelbert to keep selling her version of the WNBA's future. The real question now is, how many more players have to stop playing before the league admits it has a full-scale mutiny on its hands? For Engelbert, the nightmare scenario isn't just a player quitting mid-career. It's the reason why. Because when you strip away the PR gloss, the exit of a star is the ultimate scoreboard. It says everything about how the league treats its talent, and it sends a message to every rookie in the pipeline. This might not be worth it. The danger is that this isn't happening in isolation. You can already see the cracks forming. Veteran players have been hinting at their frustration for years, sometimes in carefully worded interviews, other times in brutal honesty. The problem isn't just the salary gap between the WNBA and the NBA. It's the entire economic model. Engelbert herself has admitted that less than 6% of Fortune 500 companies invest in women's sports. That lack of brand buy-in means the league leans heavily on ticket sales and TV rights, which is exactly why star power matters so much. Lose the star, lose the leverage.
We want more companies to do that because that's ultimately how on the men's side, men get paid so much money. It's through media rights and corporate partnerships.
The commissioner wants fans to believe the solution is already in motion. Expansion teams, global tours, more marketing. But those moves don't solve the core problem. A player can have her face on billboards in Times Square and still be earning less than a bench warmer in a European league. And when you look closely, even the expansion story has an edge of desperation to it. Engelbert proudly announced the league will grow to 18 teams by 2030, calling it proof of hockey stick growth. But expansion isn't always a sign of strength. Sometimes it's a bet that hype can outrun instability. If that bet fails, the league will have more franchises to support, more payroll to cover, and even less room for error. Meanwhile, the players aren't waiting quietly for solutions. In private, some have started comparing notes, sharing stories about sponsorship deals that fell through, overseas offers that dwarfed their WNBA salaries, and exhaustion from back-to-back seasons with no real rest. And now, with a top name out of the picture, those conversations are turning into something more serious. Collective action. Engelbert knows the numbers. She knows that Clark alone brought in millions of new viewers, and that losing her, or anyone with that level of pull, would cut the legs out from under the league's momentum. The WNBA's last surge like this came from the women's NCAA tournament, which drew record ratings. But that's college basketball. Pro leagues can't rely on the next rookie class to save them year after year. Caitlin Clark's own exit interview was full of optimism on the surface. Talk about playoff lessons, championship ambitions, building something for the future. But listen closely, and you hear the exhaustion creeping in.
Really starting to find our groove and really play good basketball, and it feels like that's always kind of how your season ends. You feel like you're playing your best basketball, and then it has to come to an end.
That's the emotional wear and tear that can turn a break into a permanent goodbye. And it's not just physical fatigue, it's the mental strain of knowing that even at the peak of your performance, the rewards don't match the effort. The commissioner's challenge is simple in theory, but brutal in practice. Convince the remaining stars that staying is worth it, not in slogans, not in Instagram posts, in dollars, contracts, and real, tangible improvements to their lives. Because the longer players feel like their best option is to step away, the harder it will be to stop the bleeding. And make no mistake, the league is bleeding. Maybe not in the ways fans can see yet, but behind the curtain, every agent, every corporate sponsor, every broadcaster is asking the same quiet question. If they can't keep their top players, how solid is this thing? Really, the scary part for Engelbert is that this isn't just a sports problem, it's a perception problem. In business, perception is leverage. Right now, the perception is that the WNBA can make you famous, but it can't make you whole. And for athletes at the top of their game, fame without without security is a bad trade. If Engelbert can't flip that perception fast, the exit we just saw won't be an anomaly. It'll be the start of a pattern where stars peak early, cash in elsewhere, and leave the W to rebuild over and over again from scratch. The next move will define whether the WNBA truly has staying power, or whether this golden era was just a brief flash before another decline. But one thing is already certain: when your biggest names decide it's better to stop playing than keep going, you're no longer talking about growth. You're talking about survival. Expansion or implosion. The WNBA wants you to believe that expansion is a victory lap, that adding Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia to the map is proof the league is stronger than ever. But here's the reality. When your top players are walking away, adding more teams isn't proof of stability. It's proof of overconfidence.
It is my honor to officially announce that the WNBA is expanding from our currently announced 15 teams to 18 teams over the next few years. So on behalf of the entire WNBA, I'm thrilled to welcome Cleveland and Detroit back, and to welcome Philadelphia officially to the WNBA.
It sounds impressive. More cities, more markets, more opportunity. But expansion doesn't magically create more top-tier talent, and it doesn't solve the reasons a star would choose to stop playing. What it does do is stretch the talent pool thinner, increase travel and scheduling demands, and pile even more financial obligations on a league that still can't guarantee its best athletes will stick around. And here's where Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's hockey stick growth narrative starts to crack. Yes, the WNBA is pulling record attendance. Yes, TV viewership is climbing, but those numbers are riding a surge powered by a handful of names: Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart. Take just one out of that rotation and the ripple effects hit everything. Ticket renewals, sponsorship interest, TV ratings. Engelbert says she's not worried. She told CNBC the league is already sold out in most arenas this season, but that's this season. What happens next year if the faces on those billboards aren't there?
Look, we think Cleveland is not just a city on the rise, but it's a city that's going to continue to build. And we're going to use the momentum of sports and entertainment, specifically a WNBA team, to help us program all throughout the entire season in partnership with the Cavs, as well as the Guardians and all the professional teams that are in Ohio. We look forward to making this Ohio's women's professional basketball team, which is a totally different take on when we had it here the first time. And there was nothing wrong with it the first time. We're thinking bigger, we're thinking bolder.
The league is betting on cities like Cleveland and Detroit, markets with rich basketball histories, but no recent WNBA presence. Engelbert frames this as smart, data-driven expansion. What she doesn't say is that both cities lost WNBA teams in the past. And while the official line blames ownership changes or financial crises, the subtext is simple. When the economics aren't right, the teams vanish. That's what makes the current timing so dangerous. You don't launch a costly expansion push while your players are publicly questioning their value, unless you're hoping the hype will drown out the discontent. But players like Plum are making it impossible to ignore.
It's pay this was gonna pay that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's great. In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue shared for the players, right? So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts. You see these every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah, massive.
But that's because their CBA, it negotiates where if the owners are making certain types of money, they get that as well.
Got it.
In the WNBA, that's not the case.
That's not an offhand gripe. That's a public indictment of the league's entire pay model. When your stars are saying this on camera, expansion isn't growth, it's gambling. And the stakes are bigger than just salaries. In the NBA, revenue sharing, merch cuts, and massive TV deals make staying in the league a no-brainer. In the WNBA, the absence of those same protections is what pushes players overseas or into early exits. The result? The WNBA's offseason isn't really an off-season at all. It's an endless loop that grinds players down physically and mentally until they burn out. Clark's exit interview gave fans a glimpse of that grind.
I feel like it's like everybody's always watching your every move, no matter what you're doing. And I feel like the best thing that I've tried to live by is like to just be the same person that I am off the court, whether I'm, leaving my apartment every single day or whether I'm here sitting in front of all of you. I've tried to approach it in the same exact manner.
On the surface, she's talking about handling fame. Underneath, you hear the reality. Being the face of a league means never switching off. Add relentless schedules, constant travel, and the expectation to play overseas for income. And it's no wonder players start thinking about walking away. Engelbert knows this. And she also knows the current CBA is a ticking time bomb. She insists she's confident a transformational deal will be struck. But the players aren't looking for small tweaks. They're looking for structural change. That means revenue sharing, merch cuts, better travel conditions, and and guaranteed rest periods. Here's the problem. Those things cost money. And while Engelbert touts new corporate partnerships and rising media rights, the league's financial margin for error is still razor thin, which means any big pay jump would have to be offset somewhere. And if expansion teams don't immediately turn a profit, that somewhere could be the league's stability itself. Even corporate backers see the risk. Ally Bank, one of the league's biggest sponsors, admits that only a small fraction of Fortune 500 companies fully invest in women's sports. Less than 6% are in that category. Without a sudden shift in that number, Engelbert's grand vision could collapse under its own weight. And if that happens, it won't just be one player walking away. It could be a wave. Already behind the scenes, agents are advising their clients to keep overseas options open, not as a bonus, but as a fallback plan. Some are even pushing players toward brands and media work over year-round play. Thank you for the Nike ad. Now, this might seem like a simple comment, but it's actually brilliant on multiple levels. Remember, Plum is sponsored by Under Armour, while Clark has a massive Nike deal worth reportedly $28 million. So Clark was essentially saying, thanks for promoting my sponsor while representing your own brand. It was savage, it was witty, and it was the perfect clapback that turned the narrative without being overtly confrontational. This response was widely celebrated by fans, with posts gaining significant traction on social media. Clark had managed to turn the tables without being overtly confrontational. She didn't escalate the drama. She just reminded everyone who had the better brand deals while showing her sense of humor and quick wit. But the controversy didn't end there, because this wasn't just about one comment or one Instagram post. This was about a pattern of behavior that fans had started to notice and piece together over the course of the year. Earlier in 2025, on June 29th, Plum had a playful interaction with a fan wearing a Clark jersey, telling them to do better and giving them a Sparks shirt. At the time, it seemed harmless enough, just a player showing team loyalty and having fun with fans. But in the context of the All-Star controversy, it started to look like part of a bigger picture. The fan interaction video shows what appears to be a lighthearted moment, but when viewed through the lens of the later controversy, some interpreted it differently. The viral video ignited a fierce debate online, with many fans blasting her actions as unnecessary and fueled by hate. During a Halim interview at the 2025 All-Star Game, Plum, when asked about Team Collier's lead, said,
"Oh, no, I'm just playing hard. We want to blow them out. We're a lot better than them. I hate to say it."
While likely meant as competitive trash talk, this comment further fueled perceptions of Plum targeting Clark's team specifically. The narrative was writing itself. Kelsey Plum seemed to have a problem with Caitlin Clark. Whether it was jealousy, competitiveness, or just unfortunate timing, the perception was becoming reality in the court of public opinion. And it was becoming clear that this Plum-Clark rivalry didn't begin overnight. It began a while back, one broken record ago. The real truth behind the drama. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the idea that Kelsey Plum hates Caitlin Clark. If you've been following this story based solely on Twitter reactions and YouTube comment sections, you might believe that Plum has some deep-seated animosity toward Clark. But when you actually look at the evidence, not the hot takes, not the viral clips taken out of context, but the actual evidence, a very different picture emerges. Remember how this all started? When Clark broke Plum's NCAA scoring record in February 2024, Plum's response was nothing but supportive. She didn't just offer a polite congratulations. She went out of her way to praise Clark's impact on the game. Plum even stated, "I'm actually very grateful to pass that baton. I'm very happy for her," urging fans to support Clark beyond her performance. This doesn't sound like someone harboring resentment, does it? In fact, it sounds like exactly the opposite, someone who understands the bigger picture and wants to see the sport continue to grow and evolve. But here's what's really fascinating when you dig deeper into this story. Both Clark and Plum have actually addressed their relationship directly, and their own words tell a very different story than what the headlines suggest. When you hear them speak about each other in unguarded moments, away from the heat of competition or controversial press conferences, you get a glimpse of what their relationship really looks like. From Kelsey Plum's perspective, let's look at what she's actually said about Caitlin Clark when she's not caught up in the heat of competition or press conference moments. In her appearance on the Sloan Knows podcast, when asked specifically about Clark's transition to the WNBA, her response was telling.
I mean, she's phenomenal. What she's doing is unprecedented, and, she's getting really close to the record, and I'm excited for her because I really do think records are made to be broken, and I've been in that spot before, so, for her to handle it and just perform and continue to outshine even the high expectations is really, really impressive. When you can shoot,
That doesn't sound like jealousy to me. That sounds like genuine respect from one elite athlete to another. Plum isn't just giving lip service here. She's acknowledging that Clark is doing something special and that she's handling unprecedented pressure with remarkable grace.
When you can shoot and, when you're a big guard, you're gonna do good. You're gonna do good in the league. So I don't worry about her transition too much.
Plum is essentially saying that Clark has all the tools to succeed at the professional level. She's giving a professional assessment of Clark's skills and predicting success for her. Again, not exactly the words of someone who's rooting against her or trying to undermine her success. When Plum appeared on the Pat McAfee show, her comments about Clark were similarly positive, even when given opportunities to be critical or dismissive.
Oh, brother, I have too much to be thankful in life to hate anybody. But I'm hyped for her. I think it's great for the game.
This statement is particularly revealing because it shows Plum's broader perspective on life and competition. Now let's look at Caitlin Clark's perspective. When she appeared on A Touch More with Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe, she was asked directly about dealing with controversy and criticism. Her response reveals a maturity and understanding that Owen gets lost in the noise of social media debates.
Well, I think first, you have to remember, like, social media is just like such a false perception of reality. And even for myself, like, you don't always realize that at times. Like, it's not the real world. And, when you're in a position of, people are going to love you, people aren't going to like you.
Clark understands something that a lot of fans seem to miss. Social media creates narratives that don't always reflect reality. She gets that the online drama isn't necessarily representative of what's actually happening between her and other players. This is wisdom that typically takes years to develop, and she's demonstrating it as a second-year player.
But I think when I show up to arenas, those are the moments that like really remind me of like how many people are really there supporting you and loving you. Like the little boys and the little girls, those are the people that are on social media, like caring about every decision you make or every comment you make.
This is Clark acknowledging that the real world, the arenas, the fans, the actual basketball community, operates differently than the online outrage machine. She's making a distinction between genuine basketball fans and the social media ecosystem that feeds on controversy and conflict. So what's really going on here? Why does this rivalry narrative persist if both players seem to respect each other and understand the bigger picture? The answer lies in understanding the unique pressures of being elite athletes in the social media age, combined with the specific moment that women's basketball is experiencing right now. We're witnessing something unprecedented in sports, a league that's experiencing explosive growth while simultaneously being under a microscope that no women's professional sports league has ever faced before. This phenomenon isn't unique to women's basketball. We see it in all sports when a transcendent star emerges. Every interaction, every comment, every moment gets analyzed for deeper meaning. LeBron James dealt with this throughout his career. Tom Brady experienced it. Now Caitlin Clark is learning what it means to be under that level of scrutiny. The truth is that both players are handling an unprecedented situation with grace and maturity. They're competitors who want to win every time they step on the court, but they're also professionals who understand the bigger picture of what's happening in women's basketball. There's naturally going to be some tension when a new player immediately receives opportunities and attention that veteran players had to fight for over many years. But rather than resentment or hostility, what we've seen from Plum is mostly recognition and support for Clark's impact on the game. The real truth is this: Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum are two incredibly competitive, incredibly talented athletes who are navigating the pressures of professional sports in an unprecedented time for women's basketball. They're not best friends, but they're not enemies either. They're competitors who respect each other's games while trying to win every time they step on the court. The relationship between Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum is best characterized as a friendly rivalry rather than a feud. What we've learned from this entire saga is that in the age of social media, every moment gets amplified, every comment gets dissected, and every competitive interaction gets turned into content. But underneath all the noise, underneath all the hot takes and viral clips and Instagram comments, there are just two basketball players who love the game and want to be the best at what they do. If you enjoyed this video, click on the ones showing on your screen to enjoy more.